Good morning, everyone. What I'm going to do today before I start doing a reading is I'm going to look at Will Smith's experience at the Oscars. I can't remember when it was, day before yesterday. I've looked very quickly at the charts, and there's two things that I'm picking up which might be interesting to you, may not be interesting to you. It's really snapshot astrology. It's dirty solicitry. It's very quick. It's not in detail, but just to tell you what you could expect in this next 5-minute reading is a look at timers and also a look at how Chiron plays out in our charts. So I'm going to switch off and you'll be able to see the videos. See you in a minute. Hi, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go very quickly through Will Smith's chart and then look at the transits for the Oscars and what was probably going on inside him and how it outplays and how it actually... Well, it's the same thing for all three people involved in that particular moment. You've got Will here with a Gemini ascendant, which is communication and laughing and playfulness and silliness and fun in some cases. You've got that in his 6th house conjunct Neptune, and 6th house is like, you know, working, routine, everyday, hard work probably because it's opposite Saturn with him. So that is somebody who works hard at playing, somebody who works hard at communicating, and I'm sure he will say that is right, that is correct himself, because I've heard him talking about how he started off when he was young. You have got, and I always thought Will Smith was a Leo because he feels like a Leo to me, but you have got a full 5th house here, which may give him that flavour. You've got his sun conjunct Uranus, which can be, when your sun's conjunct bigger planets, it can feel like, it almost feels like that person's there for a reason, or they've got a mission because they tend to embrace or encompass big energy. Uranus can be quite volatile. I'm not saying that is part of it at all. Normally it's somebody that wakes other people up. And if you're interested in name asteroids, and I know it sounds mad, but it is conjunct, and I might actually leave it on his ascendant there. His name asteroid is conjunct his wife's Uranus. I know that, Uranus, however you say it. So that is the energy he encompasses. It's like, wake up, everybody. You know, here I am, I'm big energy. And I know he used to say about his kids, it was like, when his kids were young, it was like, get them up and get them moving and make them know that every moment counts. Which I remember him saying that because I was sitting on the couch with my kids doing nothing at that very moment probably. You have got as well, this 5th house is ruled by Virgo, and it's got Jupiter on the cusp of the 5th house. His wife is very Jupiterian. She's got Jupiter conjunct her ascendant, and she's very Virgo, so it's not surprising that they got together. The interesting bit here is his moon in the 6th house conjunct Neptune. His moon is in Scorpio. You often find, it does happen with women because the Scorpio moon almost expects to be dragged into the depths of Hades, I suppose, with Scorpio there with regards to relationships. It often happens because the moon is the mother, the moon is, you know, women in general. Does happen through women with men, and I'm thinking Ben Affleck here as well. His moon is conjunct Neptune. To me, as I looked at that, it made me think of a cousin that I had whose mum was an alcoholic, I suppose, and he was the sweet one that always used to pick her up and put her to bed. That's what it feels like, and I don't know if that applies, I doubt it, but that's what it feels like. Kindness. It feels like it's emotion, isn't it? It's intense emotion, but it's also sweet and very forgiving and very tolerant conjunct Neptune, but still being dragged under the ground with that scorpionic feeling to it. The other thing that I thought was quite interesting, although his Mars is well aspected, and that's how he asserts himself. It's well aspected to Saturn, so to me that feels with his 6th house flavour that he can work quite hard. It's also aspected his chart ruler, which is important as well, so that's all integrated, but it is square his Scorpio moon, and it is square his Scorpio moon conjunct Neptune. So those things we were just talking about, like being dragged through the undergrowth with regards to women in his life, with regards to his emotions, and with regards to nurturing himself and being nurtured is probably part of it. And also a feeling here, conjunct Neptune, asserting himself could be difficult at times with regards to women. It's like, it feels like somebody who could, who likes to please, conjunct Neptune there, you know, somebody who likes things to be nice and to flow and to be sweet, and oftentimes he gets pulled into positions where it's not, and then he's looking at his Mars and how to assert himself. The last thing I wanted to mention here was his North Node is in Aries, which once again talks about assertion, and it's conjunct Chiron. So part of that, Chiron is those lessons that we go through that burn and hurt over and over again until we begin to identify that hurt and see what game, and I'm going to say what game we're playing ourselves, we can see it in other people, and then we sort of have more tolerance, more empathy for others and ourselves, hopefully. So that's a very quick synopsis of a man who has a big personality, of a man who has very tender but very intense emotions. And oftentimes I think that how he asserts himself has got a lot to do with his emotions and women in his life. So, and that Chiron there to me, which plays out in that particular moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off. I'm going to come back and look at the transits of the moment, see what he was going through. You have got here the South Node is conjunct his moon in Scorpio, and is conjunct his which is actually conjunct his Neptune anyway. So that has got something to do with that moment. It's like that moment is being highlighted. It's coming back in time. You know, all those, whatever happened in his childhood, if it could have been his mother with the moon, with regards to women, and maybe how he asserts himself because it's natally square his Mars, and it's all like coming out in that particular moment. What is interesting is that you have got, if you look at the red planets on the outside, at the top of the chart by the MC, you've got Mars conjunct the MC. That is a cracking timer to bring all that out. It's like you're mustering, you're feeling it, it's all there, and then Mars comes and kicks it off. The time I've seen Mars on the MC with people that I know, including myself, my sister rolled her car onto the roof. So that it can be, Mars is like fighting energy, it's warlike energy, it can be quite aggressive. And I don't really know whether it comes towards us when it's on transit to an MC, but you would say so in that case. I would say so in two other cases as well. When I was teaching once, I had Mars on the MC when a child was really violent in class, and it was quite frightening and throwing things around. I also had it as well when we were sailing and we moored up on an island, and we walked past the restaurant owner who actually owned the mooring, and we just assumed we were allowed to do this by the sailing company, and we were going for a walk, and he was shouting at us in the most aggressive way because he thought we were going to a different restaurant and we needed to eat at his restaurant, which we didn't know that. But it was like, oh my God, it was really intense and aggressive, and we went back and cried. But that was, that's the feeling. It's a timer, and what it's bringing out, it's got something to do with his moon, Neptune in Scorpio. Also as well, if you look at his North Node, it's conjunct Chiron, it's conjunct transit Chiron and conjunct transit Sun. So to me, it's past hurts coming up. He's replaying something that has gone over and over again, over and over in his life, over and over again. And that is the timer that sparks it off. And as I said, it's like energy that's inside you. You can feel it brewing with the slow transits. And then Mars just bang. And it's all out in the open, and it's timed, and here it is. And I think that's really interesting, not to demean what anybody went through on that night, but with regards to yourselves, you know, if you look at astrology, you can feel the energies inside you, and they're swelling, and you can see the timers coming, which is good for preparing yourselves and making you look at life as not as a game because it hurts, but as a game. You know, you can almost see it from a more detached perspective, which I wonder if Will Smith did astrology, he would have seen that coming. He was like, okay, I'm ready for this moment. I'm feeling quite angsty, which I think the text, what is it, not text? I'm absolutely rubbish with media. Twitters were all like, we're ready to fight, and he probably was because he felt it, but he was fighting from something that had happened before, you know, years before, and probably, you know, childhood as well, and that was coming out, so it was going to be more than just a feeling a bit sort of raring to go on the night. It's interesting that his wife has got a hugely, I would say, intensive chart, extremely strong chart. She's got Pluto conjunct to Sun. She's got Sagittarius ascendant conjunct Jupiter. And that is somebody who, you know, I'm just going to say a strong chart. But she also was going through Chiron issues on that day. I'm not going to talk about the transits there, as was Chris Rock. So to me, it feels like Everybody is coming. It's all, just imagine when we're not here and we're looking down at life and you can see people getting sucked together with similar issues and playing them out. And Chris Rocks, to me, from his chart, looks as if his has a lot to do with asserting himself as well. I mean, he's got Aries ascendant, with a lot of air in there as well. And Aries, being a comedian, they don't do the skipping on and making people smile and laugh completely. There's a lot of, Eddie Murphy and Joan Rivers. It can be quite aggressive. So he probably was trying to mix, I don't know where he was coming from, but to be honest, they were all feeling, outplaying past hurts in that moment, and it was kicked off by Mars. The reason that I looked at this just before I go is not so much just to to look at it, but I wanted to know because I came home yesterday and my daughter's going, look what happened. And I said, oh, that made me feel sad, to be honest. And I was wondering, because there's things saying about smiling and so I don't think that this was staged. I don't think this was staged at all. This is too much hurt going on in the background. This is instigated by a transit that's quite volatile anyway, or can be quite aggressive. And there's a lot going on behind this, I think. And I suppose just before I go now, I think what I would like to see from this, that means absolutely nothing to anybody, is for them to be totally honest. Because I find it, I'm going to say insulting there, and I find it really sad and insulting when we get lied to by people who, we're here ready to forgive them because they play out in public what we do in private. I'm not saying, we all do this, but we all are complete prats at times in our lives. And when we see them doing it, and I actually feel sorry that they have to see, I'm not condoning any of it, but that we have to see it, because if we had cameras in our houses, my good Lord, we could all be right on the internet forever, couldn't we? So I think tolerance is really important here, but I also would like to be met with honesty from the people involved, not Hollywood gleaming over, because I find that, I don't like it. There you go. There you go. I'm going to leave it there. I wish all people involved well on this because, as I said, it just is living it out in public, and we've all go through the same things, to different scales at different times, and to be kind and tolerant with others and honest with ourselves is vitally important, I think. Anyway, that's me preaching. I'm going to go. Bye.